324 budget, as you would expect.
Senator Paterson.
Minister, what advice has the government received about the risk of foreign interference in the upcoming referendum?
Minister.
Yeah, look, I'm not aware of any specific advice that we've received in relation to foreign interference in the referendum. But as always, I'm sure the AEC monitors these issues, and of course we know from previous legislation that has passed the Senate that prohibits the involvement of foreign entities in Australian electoral processes, and I'm sure the AEC is very alert to those issues and would be watching very closely.
Senator Paterson.
The minister might like to check that answer because your own Attorney-General has publicly discussed the risk of foreign interference in the upcoming referendum. I am sure, and I would hope not, that the Attorney-General wouldn't be publicly speculating about a foreign interference risk without receiving advice about it. Could the minister clarify?
Minister.
Not sure that I need to check my answer. The Attorney-General might have received some advice on this issue, but your question to me was what advice have I received from the AEC? And
Senator Paterson.
Minister, you'll have to check the Hansard. I'll read exactly the question that I asked, which didn't mention you and didn't mention the AEC. I said, what advice has the government received about the risk of foreign interference in the referendum, full stop. It wasn't limited to you, it was the government, and I'd appreciate your answer to that question.
Minister. Order.
I was referring to the advice I had received. I thought that was the context in which the question was being asked, but I'm happy to check with the Attorney-General to see what advice he's received.
Senator Paterson.
You are the minister responsible for this legislation and the successful delivery of this referendum, and you've received no advice on the risk of foreign interference that your own Attorney-General has publicly speculated about. If that is true, that is extraordinary and negligent. What questions have you asked and what information have you sought about this risk, which your own government is talking about publicly?
Minister.
Look, I'm very confident, Senator Paterson, that the AEC are dealing with any issues that might relate to foreign interference in exactly the same way they deal with it at general elections. That is very competently, and if there were any issues that I needed to be made aware of, I'm sure the AEC would have done that. As I said, I was in conversation with the Commissioner only yesterday afternoon. He certainly didn't raise with me any issues in relation to foreign interference. The government continues, of course, to monitor these things in a variety of ways, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. We don't want any foreign interference in this referendum. We want it to be an election about the Australian people, and we want it to be the Australian people and not foreign entities who make the ultimate decision about whether or not we have a voice to Parliament.
Senator Paterson.
I'm conscious of the time and that we're soon going to hit a hard marker, and obviously we'll be returning to this issue. Can I ask that the minister, in the intervening time away from the chamber, go and seek answers to these questions so that you can come back to the chamber when we return to the committee stage later today and answer them adequately? The government should be able to provide some information about what advice it has received or sought on the risk of foreign interference, given that your own government has publicly speculated about it. I'd also like to know whether you or any government minister has met with any of the tech platforms about the risk of foreign interference in the upcoming referendum.
Minister.
Look, I'll come back to you in respect to those answers when we resume debate on this bill.